Hi everyone, I'm Ruchika Bindra, host and journalist. Growing up, I always searched for faces like mine for inspiration. While there were some phenomenal Desi women doing some amazing things, their stories weren't at the forefront. I needed to see more of us being celebrated and represented in all facets of life. From a global influencer to a fashion stylist, I bring you some of the most inspiring Desi women nationally and internationally. Welcome to Tell Me More with Ru. From Priyanka Chopra to Brad Pitt, George Clooney to Tom Cruise, my guest this week has interviewed them all and her list goes on. She is one of the most successful South Asian women in Canadian media today. She has been featured in campaigns for global brands like Covergirl, Aveeno, and most recently, Pantene. Here to share her journey, this week's inspiring Desi babe is Sangita Patel, entertainment reporter on ET Canada. Hi Sangita, welcome to Tell Me More with Ru. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for your time. I know it's busy, but that's what we just do with inspiring people. We take them off what we're doing and we just keep them getting busier and busier.
I know. I don't even know what day it is. I don't know where my kids are. But yeah, you just go with the flow one day at a time and make things happen, right?
Well, you have made things happen in your intro. I was like reading it before saying it and I was like, oh my God, like Desi Girl song needs to be like, forget Priyanka, we need to give it to you. What a
Oh my,
journey.
that's so sweet of you. Oh my gosh. It's interesting. It's just I don't know where life is going to lead you, and you just kind of go with the flow and see what things happen. And I think one of the things I live by is the fact that you have to live your passion and you have to find positivity in everything you do, every single thing, and just keep going. Like that's my goal. And sometimes people see it, some people don't see it, but it's been a great journey.
It has. I mean, Canadian spokesperson for CoverGirl. Then you're the, Canadian ambassador for Aveeno. Recently, a few weeks ago, your commercials have been all over with Pantene. Your daughters. Like, can I just tell you, not only being like, South Asian, I think so many people, even my non-South Asian friends were messaging me. They're like, that's amazing. Like, it's just so nice to see faces that we love, right? We see you on ET Canada every day. We love seeing you, posting and being an entertainment reporter, but then to see faces like this, part of brands that we all grew up and, we're used to. It
Yeah,
feels
it's so for me, it's been one of those things when I was growing up, I didn't see myself reflected on television. A lot of people have that story. And when I entered into this world, I used to be an engineer, and then here I am in television. I didn't know what the value of that was. I was like, okay, I'm having fun, I'm living my passion, I get to talk to people and all of this. And it occurred to me, I think when I joined ET Canada, it occurred to me what this platform actually meant. And how am I going to use this platform? It took me a while to actually join Instagram and social media. I was like, I don't want to do this. I still have my BlackBerry, and I'm like, I don't know what this is all about. But when I did, I realized, what am I going to do with this? I stopped for a second and thought, I need to figure out what it is that my messaging is. And when I realized there was something called DMs, I didn't know what that was. I realized there was a lot of young South Asian women that were talking to me, and I had said, this is my message. This is what I want to do, is to be able to break barriers for my daughters and for girls who are coming after me, and boys too, and just kind of say, it's okay to be South Asian. It's okay to want things. It's okay to be grateful, but it's also okay to be inspired. So go for it. Just make things happen. It shouldn't hold you back. It's a new generation. Our parents used to say, do this or do that. And my parents weren't like that. My dad was very like, live your life, live it to the fullest. But I think that's what I'm trying to do, is say, hey, CoverGirl wants an Indian girl for their Canadian ambassador at the age of 40. Kudos to you for even acknowledging it. And so I said, what am I going to do with that? And I'm just taking it forward and continue doing it.
Because honestly, Sangita, I've spoken to so many women, in the South Asian.
Yeah.
In my years of posting different things, and they always bring you up. They're always like, we never thought that there was a for us to do something on Canadian media. Because let's be honest,
yeah.
Most generations, I mean, my parents weren't and yours weren't, but it was always, are you going to be a lawyer? Are you going to be a doctor? What are you going to do that's concrete? And this idea and, being a journalist and telling stories and entertainment, it wasn't something that was on the first list that your parents are going to suggest. And it's so nice when, I go to schools and I talk to young girls, they're like, well, I want to be an entertainment reporter, he doesn't. It's become something that is so, deemed, and it's shown with pride. That's a huge accomplishment that you've done.
Oh, that means a lot to me. For you to say that to me means that I'm doing my job. What am I supposed to be doing at this point is taking this platform and making sure that girls realize they can do whatever they want. And I think it takes time. It really does take time. And I mean, I hit a lot of barriers all on the way. I won't lie. I've dealt with my racial slurs. I've dealt with microaggression. And I think this year in 2020, we're realizing what that actually is. All of our lives, we are told to be grateful for what we have. We work extra hard to get where we need to, and we try to push it back. We try to not acknowledge our skin tone. We don't acknowledge our culture, but that has changed. Not even in 2020 for me, it was when I realized these DMs were happening. I'm like, I am going to embrace the fact that I am South Asian. I am going to wear my sari. I am going to talk about Indian food. I am going to talk about Indian culture and the importance of it and what the value it is for me and for everybody else. So I think that's something that I hope people are realizing. You don't need to be embarrassed of who you are. It's okay to enjoy your culture. So I still have a long way to go, but I think that we're on the right journey.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. Let's take it back
Yeah.
to what your journey has been. So growing up, did you always want to be a host? I know you were an engineer, you studied it. So tell a little bit, about your journey to our viewers.
Oh, how long do you have? You need more than 20 minutes with my journey.
This wasn't this kind of happened in its own way. So why don't you kind of lead us into how?
I was a kid that loved doing everything. I had never told myself I was the best at one thing. I think I was a well-rounded kid where I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting. Let me try that. If I failed, then I'd go the other way. It was just one of those situations. I played sports. I used to I would MC events at the age of, I don't know, 12. I think I started MCing my own event at school. And I was just one of those kids, and I loved dancing. And it was one of those situations. I was just like, you know what? It's better to learn about everything and anything and just kind of be good at something, right? Nothing, not the best at anything. And I think I became an engineer because I loved math and science so much. I loved math. And so I didn't know what engineering was. And I talked to my cousin, who was a guy, and he said, women don't really go into engineering. Well, I'm like, I'm going to change that. So I went in not knowing what engineering was, and I picked electrical because it was the hardest one at the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it was hard. And there was, I think out of 80 people, there was 6 females who graduated at the end of our engineering school. But at that point, I knew my passion was always talking to people and learning from people. I always tell myself, talk to someone new every day and you will learn something new every day. So that's my mantra. And I live by that. So it just kind of happened. And then I met the president of Pelmorex, which is the weather network. And he goes, well, if you like science and math, why don't you do television and do weather? And really, that's where we kicked off. I used to do a show on Rogers Television that was entertainment when I got to meet Brad Pitt. And it was wonderful. And I'm like, this is what I want to do.
This one, you're like, and he turned around.
Yeah!
The best television. I love that moment. I was like, yes. Because he was walking away. He was walking away.
He didn't talk to anybody, and I yelled that I'm pregnant and I'm cold, and he came over, and I was like, holy shit, I'm talking to Brad Pitt right now. This is insane. And at the time, Angelina Jolie was pregnant. So those were the moments I was like, this is a lot of fun. And I think that's part of it, is because I go, if this doesn't work out, it was like a nighttime job. I go, I'm still an engineer. I could still make a living. I still pay off my debts. I could still, and I think that's the freedom I had. Yeah. People who go into journalism, you have that pressure of making sure you get that job in journalism. But in my head, I think it was just like, just go for it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Just make sure you do it with a lot of passion. And so that's really, I live by passion.
And so you're doing the Weather Network, you've done stuff on Rogers, and where does it come? Okay, I want to now be an entertainment reporter, or I want to be on, kind of the most watched entertainment show. I want to be on ET. Like, do you just wake up like that?
No, it was crazy. So when you're on the Weather Network, I don't think a lot of people know. So when you're on the Weather Network, you have 6 minutes of ad lib, which you never get in any other station. This is a chance for you to be just you. I got a call from City TV, and it was funny. I did my interview at nighttime, which was really funny. And I thought, okay, this is great. And then a month after, I get a call and, hey, would you like to do weekend weather? I'm like, sure, why not? This is great. I have a family, and I just have to work 4 days. I think it was 4 days a week, and it worked out really well for my schedule. And to be part of City TV, I mean, it's iconic to go into that building right on Peter Street. So I did it, and there was a woman there who was my boss, but she believed in me, and she just threw me in situations that I'd never been in before. And then I think it was maybe like 4 months in, she goes, can you cover breakfast television? I'm like, what am I going to do on breakfast television? And they made me do Live Eyes, covering for Jennifer Valentine at the time. And I think people connected with me because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I remember I destroyed a cake on live television. I remember not falling off a horse, but I didn't know how to ride a horse. I didn't I think the people were just going on the journey with me. So that's what happened to City TV. So City TV was a staple for me to learn to be who I am on television. And one of the greatest things was Gordon Martineau, who was the host at the time. He brought me into the office. He goes, Patel, come over here. I'm like, oh crap, here we go. I'm in so much trouble. And he said, you don't give an F of what you do on television. He goes, keep it that way. Wow. And no one has ever changed me, but people have given me suggestions, and I take those suggestions and make myself better. I think that's one of the key elements, is that they know what they're doing and they want you to be your best. Never be offended when someone's willing to help you. If they say, maybe change it this way, take it as a positive. And I think that's what's taken me even further. I've had some incredible directors I work with at Home to Win. I work with the same director who's part of ET Canada. And he'll come into my face like this and go, Sangita, I need you to do this. And that's it. And when he says that, I'm like, you got it. Yeah. And he makes the best television. And that's why these shows do so well.
I think you're right. I think that's an inspiring thing that I think a lot of our viewers will take away, is that naturally as humans, we're so sensitive to criticism. We have to know when it's genuinely for our own benefit, especially if you want to go into this field and someone's giving you they're saying it for your shop to look good, right? They're saying to make great TV. And
it's exactly what it is. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's okay to learn from other people who have so much experience. And I think part of the problem is, and I think the world is sensitive, as you said, even before, but now with social media, people judging you every single day at what you're putting on social media, we are sensitive to it. But when it comes to your work, people want you to be your best. So take that and own it.
And when you came home, so you get ET Canada, you go to the audition, you get it. Do you come home and you're like, hey, honey, dear, I'm just gonna be talking to stars. Like, no issue, no big deal. Girls, I don't want to make a big deal or anything, but you want to push it.
It was really funny how it all happened, to be honest. A friend's like, you know what? I think you need to move on from City TV. I think you need to try something else. And I go, I don't know, what should I do? And she goes, there's a 6-month gig. Cheryl's going on mat leave. Why don't you apply for that job? I go, so leave a full-time job for a 6-month gig? And I'm like, okay. So when I auditioned for it, again, same thing. I'm like, I have City TV if anything happens. And when I did the audition, it was just, I didn't get the script in time because it went into my junk mail. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to blow. It's not going to work. This is not going to happen. I think that's what helped me, is because I just let me be me. And there you go. I was hired for 6 months, but I had another job lined up. He's thinking this was only a 6-month gig. But man, it's been 6 years now. So it's been pretty amazing. But my husband's like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. Are you happy? I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. But yeah, like my kids don't watch me anymore. The only time they were excited if I talked to the minions, so that was it. But they ask about weather more. So, I stay humble because of my family. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So
your husband's like,
my parents watch me.
You're not, Brad Pitt and you can have a combo. It's okay. You're coming. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm just not allowed to have a top 5 list of males anymore. That list that you can have. Yeah. I'm not allowed to, because I met my top 5. So that's over.
Fair enough. I had that experience. All good. Sangita, what is it like for you right now? You got today an experience in this last year through the pandemic. You were able to be with your family. You were able to produce television at home. That is so different, and you guys have done a job at it. Did you feel like things are changing and there was so much going on just globally?
Yeah. I think it's hard. And I think, I think Shania Twain said it best. It's asking people, instead of saying, how are you? The question should be, are you okay? I think everyone has their own way to deal with what's happening. And again, I'm one of those people always trying to find the positive in everything. And I'm like, I still have a job. I can still create television from home. It's a different experience, but you know what? We can still make it happen. For my kids being home, I mean, that was the best gift ever. Silver lining is to spend this time with my kids and seeing them bond, or I've never seen anything like it because I'm always traveling. I was on the road every week. To be still was insane. And also being with myself and understanding those thoughts, and like, who am I? Like, what are my priorities? Like, what am I doing? Like, that's what 2020 is all about. Black Lives Matter happens. And that changed everything for me, because not only did it make you realize the racism that is happening in the world, but it also makes you realize what you've accepted as normal.
Yeah.
And so we need to change that normal. Not only it's for all of BIPOC, we talk about the importance of understanding how we can change things for the Black Lives Matter movement, but also for racism in general. And the fact that it's been going on for so long. This is like the Me Too movement, where we're acknowledging those changes. So 2020 is a very hard, it's a shit show. It is a year that we're always going to remember. And my biggest worry now is my kids. Like, what is the future for my kids? And I can't answer that right now. You and I mean, you're way younger than I am, but we knew, we were going to go to university.
25, I just hit.
You're 25?
25, no? I'm 30. You're a little younger than me, Sangita. Be humble.
You're 25. You're like a
no,
baby.
I'm 30. I'm kidding.
Oh, you're 30. You're a baby.
No, not a baby. I cried myself when I hit 30. I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm old. I just got married. That's it. It's done. Where's the wine at? It was not.
I think I'm 41, so don't even start, okay, girl?
You look fabulous. You look fabulous.
Oh, you're sweet. But like, it's all of that. I think it's at the end of the day, it's going to be the question of what you are going to take from this year going forward, and what you're going to, I think for me, it's more of understanding what is my priorities. I think that's exactly what it is. And I've gone through anxiety in the last 3 years. I didn't know I had anxiety. I've gone through, I dealt with depression after my second kid, but that mental state has come back again, where I'm not feeling great. But again, I still look for the positivity. I'm like, look at my life. I got my 2 beautiful kids. I got a great family. That's the core. But you're allowed to have those sad moments. People compare each other's lives. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to let yourself cry. It's okay to have those moments. And I think that's what 2020 is all about, is to reassess yourself.
I think that's so well said. And online, I know you touched on that, you just found out about DMs, and then you were kind of thinking, what is it that you want to be? And I think that's with you, is that you're just yourself. People are seeing the real you. They're seeing when you're dressed up and you're giving us great stories and interviews, but then we're seeing you at home on a weekend, and we're seeing you with the girls, and we're seeing the realness that's part of you. Was it a challenge for you when you're always being judged? Okay, you're wearing this outfit, there's and it's like, how do you just say, okay, I'm not going to look at that? Because that's something I have to ask you, because a lot of girls right now have that issue. They have that insecurity, right?
Yeah.
They're more stressed, like, oh, someone said something negative, I don't look good, someone made fun of me. Build that strength.
And it hurts. It hurts when people are negative towards you. I'm not gonna lie. When I get those negative comments, they do hurt. And there is a focus too on not celebrating the positivity. You always look at the negative comment, that one negative comment, and like, oh my God, and it's trolls, or it's people just having a bad day. So it's living the life of just being kind. Just be kind. It's so much easier to do that. So for me, I was like, again, that question of like, who am I? What am I gonna do with social media? And so I when I do Fitness Tuesday, I started doing that 6 years ago, where I have no makeup on. I look like a bum, and I just want you to work out with me. I pushed that because there was a woman on DM actually who lost 20 pounds with me. I don't know who she is, but she said, I have 2 kids. I'm Indian. I've gained 40 pounds. I am not happy. Can you help me? And I go, I don't know how I can help you. But she goes, just talk to me. So we would text each other every week. She lost 20 pounds, and it wasn't even about the weight. It was just the fact that she felt good. And so I continued to a Fitness Tuesday for 6 years, and I realized this is my audience. This is what people want to see, and I'm okay sharing my life because I think it's pretty awesome. So, and I love my girls, and they limit me to how much I put my kids out there. I think I'm allowed 6-7 photos a year or something like that with the girls. They've negotiated, and I'm like, that's strong girls right there. But yeah, like some of these raw conversations are very important, and I think that's what it's all about. Like last week I asked about social media for my daughter. Like, I don't know what to do. I talked about some of the racial slurs that I dealt with. I'm like, this is still happening to this day. So it's an opportunity to have those conversations.
And are the girls understanding it? Like, do they, when they were, for example, on set on Pantene with you, were they like, this is what mom does? Like, this is cool. Like, what was their reaction kind of seeing it?
They just wanted McDonald's and get out of there.
Are we done? Are we done?
Are we done?
I already smiled 3 times with the chat. Like, mom, come on, right?
It's so funny. But I think they had a great time. My older daughter, Ava, she's 13, and she's really into TikTok. So she's teaching me TikTok.
Oh, on Instagram. I'm sorry. Her expression is hilarious because she's just like, I'm going to do my thing, YOLO.
The problem is she uses my phone to record things. And I said, anything on my phone, I own. So some of the videos, she doesn't even know I posted it. But she's so creative. This girl is so creative. So it's, I think they love it. I think they enjoy it, but they're not fascinated by it. So that's really interesting.
Do they tell you what they want to be? I'm very curious.
Yeah, well,
it's fun to see young girls with,
So Shyla is an old soul. She's the younger one. She's 10, and she wants to cure cancer. That's her goal. So, and then I recently read an article that she did with Kit magazine, and she said she wants to diagnose breast cancer. So her mind is more science. She's more into pets. She's into solving issues. I mean, she's the one who cried when Hillary Clinton had become president. Like, she is such an old soul. She's not allowed to watch CNN anymore because it affects her so much. And Ava's just a kid. She's just a happy soul. She has this beautiful energy, and she's just loving life. And so they're very different, yet they're both their own person. And so I learned a lot from them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're learning every day from them, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I didn't tell too many people, so I want to keep it as a surprise, but I did want to reach out to a few South Asian people. And I said, okay, if you could ask Sangita some questions, let's do this. So they're fun questions. They're about your career. First one everyone wanted to know was, what is Sangita's pinch me moment that she's had in her career? It could be the first commercial, the first audition that you got, an interview. Like, tell me about the first pinch me moment that you're like, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I think everything's a pinch me moment. I'm just always in shock of anything that happens. I'm like, oh my God, Covergirl. Oh my God, Aveeno. Like, all of it's just, it's insane. That's a really good question. I think the pinch me moment was that I can do it. Like, when I joined City TV, when you fake it till you make it kind of situation, I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not a journalist. I didn't do media in school. I'm a freaking engineer. What am I doing here? I think that was the pinch me moment, is that I'm able. And when I finally realized I can do this, I actually can do weather at City TV. So that's probably the biggest moment for me to acknowledge.
Nice. When you pretty much got that start, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Have you ever thought of going to Bollywood? This is another question. Like, opportunities or doing, like, they ask, the people want to know.
Bollywood, that's a really good question. I wouldn't mind. You know what? I touched on acting, I guess 3-4 years ago. I was in Arrival and some other shows, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. I'm always a reporter, and sometimes my name is just Sangita. It's really creative. I just did one a few weeks ago as well, and I'm like, this is kind of fun. I was like the Oprah of the show, and I'm like, I would love that. But yeah, I mean, hey, why not? I would love to do Bollywood. I've talked to a lot of celebrities, Bollywood stars who they love their world, like Abhishek Bachchan. I talked to him, and he's like, I'm done with Bollywood. I want to do more Hollywood movies. And so it's interesting to see like that dynamics, but a lot of people are transitioning, but why not? Sure. I'd love to.
People would love that. What's your favorite thing in the morning, chai or coffee?
Oh, chai all the way. I love chai. Oh, I love just cardamom and ginger and letting it sit for a while and just let it simmer. Oh, I love chai.
If anyone wants, Sangita will make you a cup of tea. Just go.
I will. It has to be perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. The detail you were saying, I'm like, she needs it to be a proper, authentic Indian chai. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Do you watch a lot of Bollywood movies with the girls?
No, the kids don't, they can't sit for more than an hour. Like, I think a Bollywood movie, the last one I saw was 4 hours, and it was the one with Aishwarya Rai, and it was like taken back and centuries old. The kids could not handle it. And I think, and recently I started listening to Indian music. I started listening to Bollywood music, and they're just like, how long is this song, Mom? How long?
We're like, the
just so short.
It's starting, the beats. Yeah, our music is long. Yeah.
I know. They're just like, Mom, the song's been going on for hours. I'm like, no, it's only been 4 minutes. They're like, 4 minutes. But no, I don't think they've ever sat through a Bollywood movie.
Okay, cool. Somebody wanted to know if you ever visited India, and which part of India have you been to, if so?
Yeah, I have, and it's been a while, but last time I went was, how long have I been married? 18 years ago. Yeah, so I've been married, 17, 18, yeah. So I went for my wedding with my sister for only 2 weeks, and so I went to India, and it was so different at the time. I remember there was a McDonald's there. I remember just like the vibe was very different. But one day I hope to go back to India after all of this happens and take my kids one day. So yeah, I miss it. It would be nice to see it.
I think they'll love it. It'll be a total different experience for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And really quickly, Sangita, if you could give one advice for, all the South Asian girls that are going to watch this and really want to do the same thing as you, like, what is the one thing you want them to remember while they're trying? Because it's a competitive journey. I always tell people, entertainment hosting, reporting, it's a competitive journey, and that's the truth of it.
It is true. And then it's funny you say that, because I was like, who has done entertainment that's South Asian in Canada? And the last person I was thinking about was Monica Diol. And how many years ago was that? And that's sad, right? And we talk about tokenism. We talk about how many really opportunities there is for Asians in general, or for the Black community. Like, you think about all of that, and knock on wood, I got that one position. Yeah. And I'm holding on to it and owning it and trying to use it for good. It's not easy. And is television doing well? I don't know. But this world, this generation is more about social media, about being influencers, the YouTube world. There's all these different outlets. So don't look at, if you want to be in this industry, don't look at just television. Find your way, find what you can do. I look at Lily Singh, and you see how she created this beast of a world of her own. That's what you need to do. And so if South Asians want to speak their voice, I started a podcast on YouTube called Spill the Chai. It was a niche that I did not see on YouTube. And it's something that I'm creating on my own because I'm so passionate about it, and I have AJ on it. But this is something unique, and it's something that people want to be part of and having that conversation. I think the mentality for South Asians is not to be afraid. I think we're just so taught to be proper. We're taught to, don't say that to grandma. Don't pick up the Coke until someone says you're allowed to have the Coke, or, let your brother eat first, or, it's all of that. It's
so true.
It's right. You think about it, and it becomes who you are. I want, especially girls, I'm going to talk to girls right now, is be yourself, be confident. Don't let that voice be yours. There's respect, and there's understanding that you're allowed to speak up. So I think that's a learning point. I went through a point where I was talking too much, and people are like, that's not proper, Sangita. You're not allowed to do that, right? Like, you get that. I'm sure you get it too. They're like, you being here right now, talk to me, I'm sure there's people in your family like, what is she doing? Right. And I got that a lot. I used to get that all the time. And, but it wasn't from my parents. It was the people outside of my parents. So I think to a lot of girls out there, I've talked to a lot of schools, and I talked to a lot of girls. I remember this one girl, She was Muslim and she wanted to join the military, but she's like, I can't tell my parents about it. And I was like, you want to be in the military to serve your country and your parents wouldn't be happy with that.
It's not
Mind blown. I'm like, this, right? It's ridiculous.
crazy.
And it's crazy. So I think that's what it is with this generation. You know, I look at my kids now and I don't want them to go through what I did, and be able to say, you know what, my mom has been able to create a path for us where we can be confident women and do whatever we want. If you want to be the prime minister, yes, you can become the prime minister, whatever you feel like that's right. But I just want them to do it with a lot of truth. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I love it. And I love the fact that ET Canada has so many different like hosts and reporters and different diversity. It creates hope for all these journalists, right? Whether you're Indian, you're South Asian, you're Asian, BIPOC, like it's there. There's spaces for everybody. And I think, you know, the takeaway is you got to just follow your passion. I saw
you really do. Yeah.
Through, and I love it. So thank you so much, Sangita, for coming on, for supporting this YouTube initiative that I really thought we needed. We needed inspiring people.
You know, it's all of us coming together and making something that's important to us and important to the next generation. So thank you for having me. All right. Take care, sweetie. Bye.